Well, good day everyone, Liam Gum here, editor of Real Estate Business. And if you're like me, whenever you see family and friends, you get peppered with a whole heap of questions about real estate. Should I be buying here? Is it the right time in the market to be jumping in? And I'm joined by my amazing friend to launch this new product, Matt Tiller, head of research, business intelligence and economics. You do everything at LJ Hooker, mate. This is something that you've been working on for years and years and years, and that's barbecue tips for the agents at LJ. Can you talk us through what you do there and some of the advice that you're giving to agents?
Yeah, sure. Well, my barbecue tips or my barbecue statement is something that I usually do at the end of a market presentation, market update or a speech. And I've been doing it for a couple of years now. So it's good to bring it to life in video form. But really what it is when you're at a barbecue on the weekend and you've talked about the crazy weather, you've talked about how your footy team's been hard done by on the weekend. And then the next topic is always property and how crazy the prices is or how crazy the market is. Well, this is like your 30-second elevator pitch to show that you understand what's going on in the market and make you sound like a bit of a property market boffin. So it gives you some good insights into what's going on in the market.
Oh, for sure. And there's going to be good tidbits as well, especially as you're looking for listings, as you're looking for new leads and you're meeting up with potential vendors. The opportunity to really wow them within that first 30 seconds is incredibly important. And it means a lot to me that you're doing this because, I was at a wedding only recently and I was very good friends. I am very good friends with the groom, and I'm happy to talk about this because he will be on his honeymoon at the moment, so he's probably not going to be watching the video. But he comes up to me during the reception and he's like, I'm thinking of buying this house. What do you reckon I could do? Do you reckon I should be doing it or not? And I'm like, firstly, it's your wedding. There's times for this, and we'll talk when you're back from your honeymoon. But people get these questions all the time. This format will be kind of chatting weekly over big things in the industry. So for any of our listeners as well, if you do have any questions for Matt, send them through because we can arm you with all those talking points. But the big one this week, interest rates, 25 basis point cut. What does that mean for real estate?
Yeah, well, it's going to boost confidence for buyers and sellers across the market. We're seeing a pretty active market at the moment from a buying point of view. We're seeing prices rising pretty much across the country. But one of the things at the moment is listings are well down on average levels, are well down on where they were last year. And really that's sort of driving competition between buyers. So I think what it's going to do is hopefully build a bit of confidence for vendors that they're comfortable and they're confident that they're going to receive the price that they want to, because buyers are out in the market with an uplift in activity due to the rate cut.
Do you think that there are more rate cuts on the horizon?
I do think there's probably at least one more coming in this year, and then potentially one or two in the first half of 2026.
So I think a lot of listeners might be a bit unawares because it was only recently that the RBA, I think it was at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, went from that like 10 times a year, almost monthly cycle where it was, you kind of set it by a watch. When rate cuts were going to be announced. That's obviously changed. It's far more infrequent. Can you talk to us about how that works?
Yeah, sure. So they changed a couple of things, behind the scenes, and they set up basically two boards at the RBA, one to run the RBA and one to administer monetary policy. And so what they did is change that frequency so that they're armed with the latest data to make their decisions. So it's more a data-led decision-making process that they go through. It's a 2-day board meeting now. And the other good thing is that after the decision's been made, the governor stands up and gives a press conference and gives us some insights into the dealings of the deliberations of that board. So we get a lot more insight. And I think it's a lot more transparent and probably a lot better process to make a more informed decision by the board. So it's less frequent, so we don't have to have those sort of down periods. There's always some months where nothing's going to happen because there's no data being released, and so now each meeting is more of a live meeting.
One thing, and this might be a little bit off topic, but it's something that I reflect on a lot, which is it's consumer behaviour, which I think is really important for agents to be aware of. And we saw it in New Zealand in particular, where the government flagged more rate cuts on the horizon, and that kind of led to a drop in listings because a lot of vendors were like, well, if I just hold off for a few more months, I might get a better price. Given the more infrequent nature of rate cuts, the fact that the RBA has seemingly held its cards quite close to its chest. I mean, it was only the July rate hold, which I think surprised a lot of people. And it was only a few weeks after that rate hold announcement that, you know, you had the labour force statistics come out and you actually saw an upswing in unemployment. So a lot of people were quite gobsmacked. Oh, wow, you know, we held rates, but then unemployment's tracking up. That New Zealand phenomenon, I wouldn't necessarily think it's something that we need to worry about here.
No, I don't think. I think the setup that they've got at the moment is quite good. Like I said, the transparency in, first of all, the statement that comes out. They tell you how many board members vote, how board members voted, not just if it's a unanimous decision, which it was yesterday for the August result. But also that press conference, like I said, you get a feel for what the deliberations were, and that gives you a bit more insight into what the board's thinking for their next decision as well, and where they see the economy moving, over the next few months and leading up into the next decision. So you can pretty much flag what's going to happen at the next meeting from what occurs, at that board meeting and the communications afterwards.
So on that note, when is the next rate announcement?
Well, the next one is in September. We get a few more data points out before then. But I think what they will be looking for now is, obviously we've seen a softening in unemployment in the latest numbers. They're just going to keep an eye on that to see how far it does soften, and the unemployment number next time, if it is softer and in the inflation figure stays within that 2 to 3 band where it's currently at, I think we'll see a rate cut probably around about November time.
Cool. Now, those are some amazing statistics. What are Matt's top tips for agents now that spring is sprunging early?
Well, I think, like I said before, listings are really tight at the moment, well down below the 10-year average across pretty much all markets and pretty much for every month this year. So it's really important to get out there and talk to vendors about that phenomenon, that there is not as much competition in the market at the moment for vendors. If you're putting your property on the market, you're seeing good buyer competition because this rate cut is going to get more buyers out. Higher borrowing capacity, better serviceability of mortgages is going to get more buyers out into the market and looking. And so they really need to be talking to vendors that now's the time. It's a seller's market. Get out there and list your property and capture those buyers before the competition comes onto the market.
And I suppose a lot of that traditional wisdom comes into it as well. You know, when you're creating your pipeline of leads, looking that 6 months in advance, because after the rate cut this week, the first of potentially a few, I think it was Westpac has predicted 4 rate cuts between now and early next year. NAB predicting 3. CBA and ANZ predicting 1 more each. So there's going to be a lot more activity on the horizon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as rates go down further, like I said, I think we've got at least 1 more this year and potentially 2 at the start of next year. Obviously, that global trade uncertainty at the moment with the US, doing their own thing at the moment. That may play into it a little bit, see what happens to global inflation. But I think we're definitely one on the cards, and that is really going to continue to spur activity across the property market, particularly in the lead up to spring. I think we're going to have a pretty good spring this year as long as the agents get out there and start listing those properties.
Now, conscious of your time, you're a busy man wearing many hats at LJ. I think it's time we enjoy these snags.
Absolutely. Let's tuck in.